All right. Hello, hello. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome for the first time for those who haven't joined us before. I am going to give everybody a minute to jump on, taking a look at all the names, see which ones look familiar. We've got one, two, three, four. Maggie Burns, you're showing up 4 times. There's either a lot of Maggie Burns in the world or go Maggie. I love it. Okay. I'm gonna give it a minute or two for folks to join us while we wait. Um, same old, same old. Go ahead and put a note in the chat. Drop the organization that you're with and your role. I Again, we love getting a good understanding of we love getting a good understanding of who's here today, who's with us. Love it. See some familiar names and faces. As people are doing that, for those of you just joining us, this is actually session 4, which is a bonus session of a 3-part series that we did last month. First, we talked about acquisition, and then we went on to onboarding and then renewals. And I realized literally the day before the renewal webinar, there's so many props to Alejandra, the marketing coordinator over at PropFuel. I messaged her and was like, we need a fourth one because win backs and lapsed members, that's a thing. Um, and so yeah, realized the night before the renewal webinar that stopping there meant we were missing a part of the story still. And so here we are. So today we are talking about bringing lapsed members back before they're gone for good. Um, if you have sat through the first 3 of the series, welcome back. If this is your first one, you're going to be totally fine. I will catch you up as we go, but go ahead and also drop in the chat if you attended the others. If you attended if you attended more than one, let me know how many you attended. If this is the first one that you're attending, just put first. Wow. Oh my gosh, so many newbies. This is great. I love it. Okay, go on and keep on chatting. We're gonna make this an interactive session, so to speak. All right. Without further ado, as per usual, we're going to go through some quick introductions before we dive in. So you're not sitting here and wondering, who the heck is this? Who the heck is PropFuel? What am I doing here? My name is Brittany. I'm the senior marketing manager here at PropFuel. If you are also wondering, okay, Britt, nice to meet you, but why are you speaking about these things? Before PropFuel, I spent about a decade in membership and marketing roles in associations, primarily in the healthcare space in the Chicagoland area. Uh, but I was there. I was building all of the campaigns, recruitment, renewals, win-backs, event registrations, you name it, I did it. So a lot of what I'm walking you through today is stuff I've actually run. I've been in your shoes. And today, my whole job is helping associations turn everyday conversations into real membership growth. So that's really the lens that we are working through today. Um, awesome. I would say it's like a 50-50 split. Sorry, I'm just looking at the chat again. It looks like there's a 50-50 split-ish um, of people who are just joining us for the first time and those who have been a part of the series. So thank you to those who have been with us since the beginning. Um, if you don't know PropFuel, a quick word on us. So you have some context as to what we're showing. As I'm going through this, if you can go ahead and drop in the chat, let's do a couple of things. I'm going to continue to ask you guys to participate today just because we're going to keep you awake. I'm curious to know who has heard of PropFuel, who is a current client, and who has never heard of PropFuel. So okay, clients, we already know that you know who we are then. Ben, you use it, love it, great. If you are not a current client, go ahead and let me know that you know of PropFuel, you just don't use it. If you've never really heard of us and you're just really interested in today's topic, go ahead and say that you don't know who PropFuel is. Heard of it, not a client, but know of it, past client. Awesome. All right, so it looks like most people have heard of PropFuel. So again, this is going to be relatively repetitive, but that's okay. But PropFuel is a member insights and engagement platform, and it's built specifically for associations. So the short version here is what if you knew what every member wanted and what to do next? That is essentially what we help you answer. And it all starts with a simple question that phases into this loop of ask, capture, act. So the idea is you ask a question, each touch point starts with a question. You capture the feedback that your members or your prospects are giving you. So when somebody answers, you capture their response, which is giving you the insights that we refer to. And you're learning something real about that individual. Then you act on what you've learned, right? So you use what you heard and you do something personal with it. Ask, capture, act, keep that in your back pocket. It's really the whole like framework we're working through today and what we've worked through previously. To know it is to love it. Here is the plan for today. We're going to chat about why most win back campaigns are falling short and what to do instead. And then we are going to break down the two types of lapsed members. This one's fun. It's an interesting conversation. I'm going to poll you guys as we go through this because I'm neither here nor there with the differentiation of the two, but we'll get into that in a minute. Then we're going to talk through the framework, the steps that are really turning this like blast email into more of a conversation. And then we'll close with a couple of examples, some real numbers, and then 3 things that you can actually do this week. This session will be about an hour. I'm going to see if I can condense it to like 45 minutes and give you guys some time back. But keep in mind, you asked for this. We were doing 30-minute sessions and I talk too much and I give too much information. So we extended it. But again, this is going to be a lot of fun. We should have time for questions at the end. But again, I want you guys to be engaged throughout this whole session. So ask questions as we go, because I would rather get a little bit off track to address those in real time than let them slide and leave them hanging. The last 3 sessions, if you are a returner from any of the 3 sessions, we did give some action items at the end. I would be curious to know if anyone has used those. I won't judge. Again, just curious. If you have, again, drop it in the chat. If not, but you have a plan to, let me know. Okay. That makes me excited. Okay. Moving on. So I am not one to live in the past, but I do want to talk a little bit about where we've been, right? Catch you guys all up on how we've got to the lapsed member topic. So session 1 was recruitment. And this whole idea was your best prospects are already in your orbit. So instead of talking about where to find prospects and where to find new members, we talked about how to talk to the ones that were already in your orbit, meaning the people who are engaging with your content, the people who are attending events, the people who are using free resources. It was about starting the conversation with them before you start chasing cold leads. Session 2 is all about onboarding. So making that first year feel good for the member based on what you learned in that recruitment effort. The first year really decides whether or not someone renews. So asking members what they came for early helps make year 1 feel built for them instead of generic. That was really the conversation. And then that bled into renewals, right? So session 3 was all about how to stop running renewals like a rescue operation. It focused on starting the conversation early, which again builds off of onboarding. The whole idea of this being a series is that we wanted to continue building off of each campaign because that's how a member experiences these moments. And that's how a member experiences their membership. Now the renewal process is not foolproof. That's very important to understand. You're not always going to get everyone back right away. So today we're talking about win back. Win back, we can look at this as a little bit of a safety net, right? Because it gives us an opportunity to reconnect with people who might have slipped through the cracks because of whatever reason exists out there. We'll go over those in a minute. but it is also where some of the fastest ROI in all of membership lives. So I would be curious to know if yes, oh my gosh, Jennifer. Okay, before I ask you guys a question, if you missed any or all of the previous sessions and you want to give them a watch, go ahead and email me. I'm going to drop my email in the chat. Send me an email. I will send you the links to all of them. Even if you attended them and you want to rewatch them, you should have gotten a follow-up email with the recordings. But if you don't want to go through your email to find them, send me a note. All right. Curious to know how many people have some type of lapsed member campaign currently running. So if you currently have a lapsed member campaign running, say yes in the chat. If not, say no. And then I will carry on. All right. Yes, 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 yes. We got a couple of no's. I'm curious to know too, for the no's, why not? For those of you who are not running a lapsed member campaign, I'd be curious to know why not. Well, we'll give it a minute. I'll come back to the chat. Here is the thing about win-back campaigns. When a member lapses, our instinct is to do something, right? We try everything. We try new offers. We try another email. We try better timing on the send. We push harder. We push, push, push. And again, a lot of it is telling the member something or sharing information about us and trying to figure out what works from there. And I get it. That is the muscle we've built because what we're told is like, we need more members, we need more renewals, we need more people to come back. And so our instinct is, okay, let's contact them in every which way possible. The thing is, sit with this for a second. What if the answer isn't to tell them one more time that their membership lapsed, or to tell them one more time about all of the benefits that you have to offer and everything that they're missing out on? What if the answer is to just ask them a single question? Because when you actually ask, you find out that not everyone left for the same reason, but we're talking to them as if they did, as if they left for the same reason, and as if we actually know why they left. And majority of the time, we likely don't know why they left. Some people just lost track of time. Life gets busy. The renewal notice got buried. They saw the reminder. And if they're anything like me, they saw it and they were like, oh, yeah, I'll get to that later. And then they didn't. And they forgot. And that's normal. We're humans. We have so many things going on these days. Some people likely had a real frustration that could have been fixed or avoided that we just didn't know about. It could have been cost, it could have been relevance, it could have been a singular bad experience in one thing that you offered. And then some honestly just needed somebody to reach out. They just needed to be asked a question so that they can give some feedback and really get in touch with the association. The thing is that you can't tell which one of those it is from the outside, right? So you are guessing. And what we're seeing today is that associations that are getting these people back through the door are asking instead of assuming. That is really the reframe that we're looking at today. Stop trying to guess why they left and instead go find out, right? Ask them a question. Now, I am no mind reader, but I know what question is going to come next for most of you. If I am wrong, let me know. But I'm guessing you're probably about to ask, okay, I get it, Britt. This is great. We'll ask them a question. However, we have contacted these people multiple ways and we've gotten nothing. It's been crickets. If they've already checked out, how do you actually get them to respond? And that is a very fair question. And the honest answer is that you don't try to win the argument here, right? You lower the effort it takes to respond. Think about what a normal win-back email asks someone to do. Typically, it asks them to resell themselves on membership, to go through all these benefits, revisit all of these things that you have to offer. It's typically like a laundry list of, you're going to miss out on all these things if you don't come back. Doesn't that stink? But that's work that you're having them do. You're asking them to take time to essentially really figure out what they would be missing in this if they didn't rejoin. And they've already decided it's not worth it. They don't want to go through the effort. So instead, asking one simple question like, did you know your membership expired? Like, did you even know? Let's draw some attention to this. And keeping it frictionless. And by that I mean not sending them down this journey of like multiple like a very lengthy message or making them put a lot of effort into their response. It's a single question built in the email that they can answer right there in a single click. They don't have to log in, they don't have to go through a portal, they don't have to dig through a forum. People will answer a question that they would never fill out a form for. And for the folks who lapsed recently, you typically want to lead with, hey, we noticed you're gone, instead of like, hey, you didn't pay us, right? You want to make this conversational, you want to make this friendly. That is going to land so differently. And you're going to see that too, right? So it feels for them like a person noticed, not like they're just again asking for money, asking for payment without knowing or caring about why somebody left. And you'll see that. So the response rates on the next few slides, they are checked out audiences that are actually responding because responding was easy and we asked instead of pitched. A lot of people will ask oftentimes, no one reads our emails. What makes a prop fuel message different? We It's a great question. The best guess that we have is this idea of cognitive fluency and pattern interrupt, right? The message looks different. It looks different because it's shorter. We always encourage people to have a shorter message and a singular question because the focus here is really like getting them to answer the question, right? So you're getting insights from them and they're getting a response that's relevant to what they're looking for and what they're sharing with you. And then there's this pattern interrupt piece or that's what I mentioned. Looks different. And then it's easy. That's it. It's simple. We are simple people. We like simple things. I'm just gonna look at the chat here quick. Nessie, you are not alone. We always ask through an email. We only ask them, what is the reason for leaving? The heartbreaking answer is no benefit. Yeah, I mean, if they don't see the benefits, some of that goes back to the very beginning. I would be interested in knowing kind of what the onboarding experience is like for you guys. Again, how this all connects is we're hoping that by the time this lapse renewal email goes out or this lapse win back email goes out, we've already put them through a journey that is showing them the value based off of what they're looking for. But if we don't have all of that set up in the beginning, it is way more likely that someone's going to come back and say, like, I don't see the benefits of being a member. And it is heartbreaking because you offer, as an association, there are so many wonderful things that are offered to members. The key thing here is really being able to identify what each individual member wants and direct them to that benefit and then build from there. Again, if you were on the onboarding webinar, we talked through that. If you missed that, again, send me an email. I'll send you the onboarding one. But that's the building of value up until the renewal process, right? All right. Okay. So this is a fun one. This is important too. So not all lapsed members are the same. And that means that your approach really shouldn't be either. So I want you to think about this as you're going through or reflecting on the current win back process that you have or outreach process you have for lapsed win back members. So you've basically got two groups here. And like I mentioned before, if I'm being honest, it took me a minute to really like settle with this one because a lapsed member is a lapsed member, you know, like for me, I was like, what's the difference? They're a lapsed member. But really, you've got two audiences. You've got the lapsed member who is the member who has lapsed within a year. And the key point here is that the relationship is still warm. The reasons are still fresh. The window is still wide open. It's not 100 degrees yet. It's like mid 70s, beautiful fresh air, window still open. There's some opportunity. So with them, you are leading with the relationship. You're going to acknowledge that they lapse, ask if they knew, um, and really make it a conversation. Then you've got the dormant members, right? So these are people who have been gone for over a year. Um, and the reason that we're separating these people out is because their needs may have changed. That's a year plus is a longer gap than a couple of months. So they might barely remember that they were even a member, or yeah, that they were even a member at one point back in the day. So that's not a conversation, that's like a reintroduction. And what you want to do here is acknowledge the time apart. You can show them what's new, but again, a better way to do it is to just ask them, like, where are they at right now in their in life? Is it that, are they even still in the field? How far back has this gone? Like, what has changed in life? Again, ask them a question, get a feel for where they're at so that you know how to encourage them to come back, and you know what benefit that you can offer them moving forward. So a recently lapsed member typically needs a conversation, while a dormant member needs a reintroduction. So you're just looking at these groups a little bit differently. All right, gonna pause before we get into the framework because I see there are some comments. Nicole is asking, does this webinar offer CAE credit? Not directly. However, you can submit it as a session, put it on your chart. They will still sometimes accept, this is being recorded, so I guess you can quote me on this. To my understanding, they will accept credits on topics that are relevant, even if we are not a CAE provider. Something to check with ASE on though. What else do we have? All right. We know why people are leaving. How far back do you go in reaching dormant members? Kaylee, I think that's a great question. I would be interested in knowing what you all are doing. We've got a decent amount of people on the call today. So if you are reaching, how far back are you going with your lapsed member list? If you could share that in the chat. I would say if you haven't done a blast to like your full lapsed dormant member list, it would actually be very interesting to reach out to all of them, and figure out who, get that data, right? The best way, in my opinion, to know who to reach out to and when is to have some data to work off of. So you might send an email to people who have lapsed within 1 to 5 years. And you might find that those 5 year members, no one's responding. You're getting a lot of bounces. Uh, Everyone's left the field or retired. Like that's going to give you some insight too. But I would say it's going to be dependent on how often you've reached out to these members, what your list looks like. And I know that doesn't necessarily answer the question for you, but I hope it gives you some guidance. I would say typically, uh, in my experience, I usually went back about 3 years. But that's because we kept in touch with anyone who was 3 plus years. We had kept in touch with them for multiple years. But I do think there is some opportunity to reach out to people if they didn't already tell you they've retired, they've left the field, whatever it may be. There's still an opportunity to reach out to those 5 plus year people or 3 plus year people. Um, Maybe once or twice just to get a feel for where they're at. Again, it's just like however often or however you can collect the data, um, to give you more insights as to what makes sense. That would be my recommendation. Trevor wants to know if anyone does mail win backs. So, is anyone doing direct mail? I can speak to actually before anyone in the chat. So it looks like most people are saying about 3 to 5 years. That's where they cap their outreach. Um, nice, Kaylee. Okay, so 6 years, Chris. Nice. Um, that's an interesting point too. This is why I like having you guys engaged throughout the conversation too, because I only speak to what I know. And so it's really good to also have you guys share insights based off of questions that are coming up. So quite a few people are mentioning COVID. So this is a unique time, so to speak, even though it was 6 years ago. There's a chance that some people didn't renew because of COVID and the hardships that they faced at that time, and maybe they're ready and willing to come back. So if you haven't reached out to people that you haven't talked with since then, this might actually be a really good opportunity for you to touch base with them if you haven't already. And then the direct mail piece, sorry. Yes. So I think we've done direct, in my experience, we've done direct mail before as well. The nice thing about the asking ahead of time, this is going to be pretty similar to renewals. I would say if you're doing print pieces, that can get very expensive. But I will never turn someone away from doing a direct mail piece. I think I personally love getting mail. And so I just assume that other people do as well, which means because it's fewer and farther between these days, I think people pay attention to that as well. It's a good way to kind of like break into their orbit if they haven't responded to you in other ways. Um, I think starting with the question via email is going to help you like condense the list of people that you can mail to. So I would say if you have a lapsed member list or dormant member list, send them an email, figure out if they know that they lapsed, if they're interested in rejoining. You can pull anyone who says no, they don't want to come back for whatever reason it may be. You can pull them from the mailing list, and then you're not sending out like print pieces to those who are irrelevant. The other, so we'll get into that in a minute. Let's see. So it sounds like some people are getting back into mailers again. People do mail. Okay. Direct mail, postcards with QR codes. I'll be honest, the win back campaigns that we did, we had QR codes and like custom URLs on them to track, and we didn't really see much traction with them. Again, this was a couple of years ago, but I do think if you haven't tested it and you can, why not? Ben says half didn't even know their membership lapsed. You just wait, guys. We've got some data on this. Um, ooh, we got a very talkative group today. I love this. Maureen, yes, PropFuel does have SMS. Happy to chat about that. We can track campaign. All right, cool. It looks like people are just giving some feedback as to how their mailings. All right. Getting into the framework. Sorry, we got off topic for a little bit. Well, not off topic, but off the agenda, but that's okay. Like I said, ask questions as we go. This is great. The more feedback the community can provide each other, I think the better as well. So, if you haven't caught on by now, this has been the same framework every time, and it's the ask, capture, act, right? It's the steps that turn the we miss you into a conversation. You can tell them you miss them all you want, but why not just ask like, hey, what's going on, guys? So you can figure out why they left to begin with, and then tell them that we miss them and we want them back. All right. So, it all starts by asking. Again, it's like I'm beating a dead horse. I'm so sorry if this sounds so repetitive, but you have to say it multiple times for it to stick. Instead of another like we miss you generic blast, the idea is you ask them a question. Are you ready to come back? Did you know your membership lapsed? What had you interested in membership to begin? You were once a member with us. What had you interested in membership at that time and what changed? Like, get creative with the questions. You don't have to start with the same one every time, but just ask them a question that would A, give you some insights and some data based off of what you're looking to find out, and B, that would help direct them to a path that would get them back into the association. So the question alone does more than any benefits email you can send, because again, you're getting insights as opposed to sending things out and hoping that the click-through rate is going to tell you more about what the members want. Then after you ask the question, again, this kind of bleeds into what I was saying before. So you capture the answer, right? Every answer is going to help build that picture of what actually happened. Did they mean to leave? What were they valuing? What's holding them back? Was this intentional? You really can't win someone back unless you know why they left. So first you ask, then you listen by capturing that response. Once you have the response, this is so important. I think this is really where the difference of people are like, well, we do exit surveys and we get data there. Exit surveys, great. Like it is really, really good for you to get that data, right? What if you could get that data and act on the things that they're telling you in real time? So with exit surveys, again, it's great that you get the data, but what do you do with it? I know, again, just speaking from my experience, we would do the exit surveys, we would collect all of it, we would read through it, we would say, okay, we'll do something about this later. And it would take time. But what if we could immediately act on the response that they give you? We ask them a single question. We immediately feed them the information that they're looking for or feedback that would help them decide to rejoin and get them back in set. So again, there are a couple of moves here. So for the people who said, oh, I didn't realize I lapsed, those are accidental. So people who never really meant to leave, you surface them and you give them an instant reinstatement before that accident turned into this permanent, like, goodbye, see you later. And then you reconnect them. So you route each member to a part of the membership that fits what they told you mattered. And then for anyone still on the fence, it's the same thing. You ask them why, and then you route them to information that feeds off of that why. I'm going to show you some examples in just a second. All right. One thing we're going to say here. So I don't know how many of you are asking this in your head. Maybe no one is. However, I'm just going to assume, entertain me for a minute. I'm going to assume that some of these people are like, okay, so why do you keep saying ask them? That's kind of silly. These people have to know that they lapsed. They did this for a reason. Okay. We have data based off of clients that are doing lapsed member campaigns with us. On average, nearly 53% of members say they had no idea that their membership lapsed. The most common question that our clients start with in a lapsed member campaign is, did you know your membership lapsed? It is absurd how many people actually come back and say, like, I had no idea. I want to renew. I want to reinstate. So again, keep that in mind. More than half of people on average, at least again, from this collection of clients that we have, more than half of their members didn't leave on purpose. They just lost track, which means for more than half of your lapsed list, ooh, that's a tongue twister, you're not really fighting an objection at all. You're just breaking news to them. And you can't break that news to them if you don't ask them if they're even aware that this happened. And again, the whole, well, how does this catch people's attention? It's just something different. It's a different way to communicate with them. I'm going to pause here again because I see that there are some more chats happening. Um, let's see. Ben mentioned voicemail drops as a channel. Yes, that is a thing. Okay, someone's asking if somebody responds about the cost of membership, what actions that type of response have been successful. I will show you in just a minute a couple of examples, and then I can feed off of that a little bit as well. Christy, it looks like you had said, okay. High level, if someone says the cost of membership is too high, I would argue majority of the time that's directly related to value. I've mentioned this a time or two before. Something that is not useful to me could be $5, and I would say that that's very expensive. If something is very useful for me or useful to me, it's very relevant, and it's $500, that might feel cheap. That I might say that's a deal. The whole point of this is cost could really be tied to value. And again, that's going to feed into previous webinars and sessions that we've done where, like, getting to this point, the goal here is to continue building value so you have less people on your lapsed member list. But I would keep that in the back of your mind of if somebody is telling you membership is too expensive, they likely are missing a value piece. But again, we'll show you kind of some examples of what has been successful for folks when they get that response. Let's see. Somebody did mention, Bernadette, if people missed this, Bernadette had mentioned that they're doing a subscription type of model. So they offer installment payments. Yeah, Jason, same thing. Did you communicate enough value for them to want to renew versus your renewal ask hitting? Yes. Okay. Price is what you pay, value is what you get. Yep. All right. So we're on the same page here. All right. So we're just gonna run into some examples here. So who is actually doing this, right? You already, if you've been through the last couple of sessions, you already know this group. We have followed the Academy of Model Aeronautics throughout this entire series. At the very beginning of this kicked off with one longer webinar that talks about the importance of treating recruitment, onboarding, and renewals as one continuous story for the member. And again, we're just adding a chapter here, which is the win back. So AMA had a lapsed member list. They, again, most people are tempted to go through that lapsed member list and just fire off one big, we miss you, please renew email. Here are all the benefits you're missing out on. Don't you want to come back? Because when you have, whether you have 70 people on that list or you have 70,000, like the important thing here is to figure out like why these people are leaving. And when it gets to that 70,000, I mean, even when it gets to 70 people, it's hard to do that at scale, right? To ask each individual member for feedback on why they left and be able to respond to each individual member in a way that's relevant to them. So that's where we come into play. But AMA, they decided to ask the question. They ran a real conversation with all their lapsed members. At this point, it was about 70,000 people who were enrolled. They are a big membership. And here's the part that I want you to hold on to. So they didn't just win members back. They found out why everyone else left, right? And again, that's the thing that this whole like, please renew, look at all the benefits you're missing out on. That email blast will never get you this information, right? So going to show some examples of what this looks like. This is the actual email that they sent. So they're telling you like the membership is lapsed, which means you no longer have access. Would you like to rejoin? Yes, no, or maybe I need more time. 3 out of 4 lapsed members are either rejoining or they are still open to the idea of rejoining. That's the importance of figuring out where people are at when it comes to your lapsed member list, right? So now they know of this group, there is still potential to win some of these people back. And then for the portion of them that aren't interested, you start finding out why. So for those who said yes, they were all set. They essentially were sent all of the information they needed for renewals, and they were able to just reinstate and carry on. For those who didn't reinstate right away, they AMA asked a follow-up question, what's holding them back from rejoining? And the answers here are relatively fascinating. You'll see the breakdown here, right? So this is the data and the insights part of things that are so very helpful for the association as a whole. So we're helping a system like Propio is helping you engage with your members by asking them a question, getting them involved, getting them to respond. And B, the insights part, they're getting that feedback. Associations are getting real data from their members to learn what's happening with their membership. So we've got 41% that said age or health, 22% said cost, 21% said time, 10% said they don't have anyone to fly with. And that's not even a money problem. That's really a community problem. And that's completely solvable by connecting them to the community. You have a huge community as an association and you can connect people to that. So when someone picks that, they are routed to a response that says, like, here's how to find a club near you with a link to the club search tool. You're not pitching dues to somebody who's lonely. You're actually solving the thing that's keeping them away, that's keeping them from renewing. So every reason gets its own answer. Um, for the people who said, maybe I just need a little bit more time, then they don't fall off the list. A few weeks later, they get a warm check-in saying like, hey, your membership is still waiting. We noticed you still haven't rejoined. You mentioned you wanted us to check back in later. Is now a better time? And the same simple choices come back. So yes, ask me again. I need a little bit more time. Totally okay. Or I'm not interested. So maybe a month goes by, they were thinking about it and they're like, I'm too busy, can't do this, blah, blah, blah. Then they can share that information then. But again, if you look at what happens here, 49% of the people who said maybe or check back in with me later, they're now saying, yep, I'm ready to rejoin now. Again, simple check-in, make it easy. And that's the compounding effect here, right? You're not losing the maybes or the I need a little bit more time. You're patiently checking back in until the time is right. It's persistent, but it's automated and it's warm. Okay. You have the right to ask these people that question. Walking through another example. So again, look at how simple this is. We've got a yes or no. It looks different than most emails. Again, most emails you're sending are going to have like the long list of benefits. This is just like, hey, did you know that your membership lapsed? Yes or no? No benefits grid, no pricing table, just we noticed you didn't renew. This specific email got 924 answers. 3/4 of them said they had no idea they lapsed. Guys, I can't make this up. Somebody else in the chat had said like 63% of their lapsed members didn't even know that they lapsed. It's insane. And it's also awesome. This is like the lowest hanging fruit for you guys. But that's the whole point of the framework, really, on one side, right? A vast majority of your members aren't, well, I shouldn't say vast majority. Majority of the time, a vast majority don't even know that they lapse. So they're not rejecting you. They just lost track of time. And the simple question here, again, makes it easy for them in a single click to tell you where they're at. All right, so thinking back on that first email, 74% clicked, no, I didn't know I lapsed. So what happens next? So those are your accidental lapses. And here's what they see next. So the two things fire automatically, right? So first, they land on a simple thank you page. So we're so glad you connected. Here are the steps to reinstate today, if you would like to. It tells them exactly what to do. Don't need to hunt. They don't get sent to a dead end. It's giving them this warm introduction, this warm invite to rejoin. They also get a follow-up email with that same renewal link that's sitting in their inbox for when they are ready. So if they get through that, they're like, oh, I didn't even know that I lapsed. I do want to renew, but I don't have time right now. They also have an email sitting in their inbox that reminds them later, right? And it does give them the reminders of like, hey, when you renew, these are the benefits that you're going to get. Notice here that we did not lead with the benefits list in the first email. We asked them if they knew. And then once they raised their hand, we did make it easy for them to do their renewal and give them a little bit of a reminder of the value. Once they renew, that's when, again, I would go back into that route of, okay, they've renewed or they've rejoined, reinstated, however you want to phrase it. Now let's figure out what they really want. So I wouldn't always lead with this list of benefits because, again, the key thing here is then to follow up with them and say, like, now that you're back, how can we help you? How can we better serve you? On the other side of things, so when somebody says, yes, I know I lapsed, that was intentional. We don't just push them away. We don't give up. We don't just say like, oh, they knew, so we're just going to let them go. Or, hey, we know you lapsed, but do you still want to renew? Instead, we're going to figure out why they didn't renew. is there an opportunity for us to get them back? And if not, again, this is the data and the insights part. Even if they still decide not to renew, you're getting feedback directly from previous members who are telling you, I did not renew because of X. And that could be something that you take back to your team, the board, executive leadership, whoever it may be, maybe some volunteer committees to start brainstorming. Hey, we've got X% of people who are saying that their values don't align with what we do. We should solve this problem. Again, it's data that you can really use at any given point. But yeah, so these are the options. I'm going on a tangent here. These are the options. Here's the back end of that, right? So based off of what they tell you. So, okay, so help me understand why you didn't renew. Based off of that response, there's a different flow. So everyone's seeing a different message that's relevant to the reason that they didn't renew. And that's what this is going to look like. So this is a very interesting cost one. I love this. So if somebody says they can't afford the dues, this specific organization isn't trying to argue with them or like defend the cost. They're showing value at no cost. So they're saying, that's okay. We get it. Here are some budget-friendly ways to stay connected, zero cost. You can subscribe to our magazine. You can follow us on social. You can join our newsletter. How cool is that? So you keep that relationship alive, even when the sale isn't there today. And so behind the scenes, that's this like the workflow view here. But again, you're keeping them connected to the association so that they don't entirely forget about you. All right. Quick breakdown of what the responses looked like, right? This is really just to show you like, hey, these are some options for why people aren't renewing. Get that feedback. You can change these up if you want. But again, these are important. If somebody still plans to rejoin, then again, you get the feedback. You can continue to connect them to your benefits. It's inviting you to put them onto another list and continue the conversation. Somebody forgot, same thing. If they can't afford it, again, let's figure out how we can still support them in a way that matters to them. Somebody had asked about cost before. So again, I loved this example of we're going to connect you to there's some free things. And then maybe we'll check in down the road and say like, hey, have you had a chance to subscribe to the newsletter? Have you been getting some value from that? Is now a better time for you to join? Because again, cost oftentimes can be related to value. The other thing that folks have done, they've given discounts. I think one other example for a dormant member campaign that I had seen was that there was like a 3-month trial. I think associations can get a little bit not weird with discounts, but some are hesitant to offer the discount, and I get that. But I would say get creative in ways that you could get people back. But if you're going to give a discount, if you're going to give a discount or dollars off or a free trial, it'll be so incredibly important for you to really find out what those members want. Those members who say, I cannot afford the dues, and then if they rejoin for a discount, you should 1000% be putting them in a separate automated campaign that will help them see value so that they're not consistently asking for a discount every year. Okay, that's huge. Da, da, da. All right. So what did all of this add up to? We like to show examples, right? Show you the numbers. So by the end of this campaign, they had over 1,100 lapsed members won back just from a single program. And that's, again, the low-hanging fruit. Like that's a decent amount of numbers or of members. That's pretty cool. Just by asking a question. That's how they started the conversation. Before I show you one last example, quick pause, everything you've seen today, the awareness question, the branching, the routed responses, the automatic follow-ups, those are all things that are live in Propule right now. If you are not currently using this and you think that it would be of value, or even if you want to see some additional examples, we've got tons of other examples, tons of other use cases. I would love to show you. Schedule time to chat with the team. We'd be happy to walk through whatever it is that you're looking for, wherever you're stuck. This is actually a really good time for me to ask, where are people getting stuck when it comes to membership? Go ahead and drop that in chat. Let me see who's all here. But again, if you're at all interested, Alejandra just dropped a link in the chat. You can schedule a call with the team. I'm going to go into one more example. We've got a trade association. Because I missed these the first two, and I'm so sorry, but I'm not going to miss it again. But we're going to carry on the conversation with WQA. So their trade association members are companies, not individuals. So it changes the dynamic a little bit. The person reading your email is not always the person who decides on the membership. So oftentimes, again, this whole concept goes back to figuring out, do you plan on renewing? Is your company planning to reinstate? That allows them to have the conversation internally if needed. But you've got 4 options here. The last one, I don't make the decision on membership. That single option is gold because it tells you that you need to find the right person to talk to. And perhaps you've been talking to the wrong person to begin with, and it gives you an opportunity to restart the conversation and restart it with the right person. Behind the scenes, again, every answer is routing to a different question or a follow-up response based off of what people are telling you. So yes, helps reinstate. Undecided goes to a hesitation follow-up, and then no gets pulled from the campaign. And again, they're getting asked why so that the WQA can get that data from those who decided not to come back. We've got 8 minutes left. I thought that this was going to be shorter than an hour. It wasn't. But quick thing, again, the key point here, win back delivers faster ROI than almost any other campaign type. It's the lowest hanging fruit. Again, guys, if you're not doing a lapsed member win back campaign, please reach out to me. Let's talk, because these are people that you can win back. Even if it's 5 people, that's 5 more people than you had. But yeah, let's talk. It's a big ROI campaign. Now, one other thing I want to mention before we get into more questions. A lot of people say like, yeah, I want to run this, but it's very manual for us. It takes a lot of time. That's where, again, a system like PropFuel comes in to help. Without making 100 phone calls, this all starts with your AMS and the lists that you have. So we've got a system set up now. We just introduced this concept of signals and segments and the broader picture of what's called membership AI. It's awesome. If you are a current client and you're not really familiar with it, let me know. Let's get you connected to your client success manager so we could chat and show you all the really fun new things. If you are not a current client and you want to learn more about it, again, book and demo link is in the chat. Let's show you what we have. But basically, it's this whole idea of like, the system is going to read information from your AMS, from PropFuel, emails, etc., and it's going to identify signals that your members are giving you. So people who aren't responding to certain campaigns, people who haven't responded in X amount of days, what have you. And then it's going to build segments based off of that. And then a future step, which is coming out soon, is this campaign builder. So it's going to say like, hey, here's a signal that or a pattern that we've seen a good chunk of members show us. And we're going to put them in a list for you. So now you know who these people are and why they're in this list. And on top of that, we're going to recommend this campaign based off of best practices that we've seen throughout the years with our clients. Do you want us to build it for you? So we're taking away that manual work that oftentimes will discourage people from even starting the campaign to begin with. So if you've ever been in this position where like you've been procrastinating a campaign because it just feels so heavy, so incredibly hard to get started because there's so many moving parts to it, this is for you. And if you haven't experienced that type of procrastination, props to you. That's amazing. I envy you. This is still for you. It's intended to free up your time so that you can spend it on bigger things and the more strategic level things than getting really into the weeds and doing the very manual work. So be happy to chat about that. All right. 3 things to do this week. As I'm going through this, please go ahead drop your questions in the chat. We'll see how many we can get through in the next 5 minutes. As you're doing that, 3 action items. First things first, if you haven't already done this, even if you do this recently, or if you do this often, but you haven't done it recently, even if you did yesterday, pull your lapsed member list, divvy it up between who's lapsed within the last 12 months and who's been gone longer. Start to get a feel for kind of where this huge group of lapsed members live and where they're at. Those, again, can be 2 different campaigns. You can approach those a little bit differently. From there, write the awareness question. So again, one of our favorites, and this is based off of all of the client emails that get sent out. Did you know your membership lapsed? Did you know your membership expired? Did you know you no longer are a member of this organization? Ask them, see what they say. And then 3, just make sure you're getting more than just the yes, no. If you ask them that question, set this up in a way that you're going to get more information than that simple yes or no. Okay. All right. Zoom all the way out. We had 4 sessions, 4 campaigns. It's one connected story. That's the big takeaway here, right? Like, how can we build value at the beginning, starting all the way at recruitment, so that by the time renewal comes, you're not sitting there and being like, let's try to show you all the value here. And now we have to chase you down with this lapsed member win back campaign. So recruitment, we're going to find them, we're going to convert them. Onboarding, we're going to build that relationship. Renewal, we're going to prove that it was worth it and worth their time. And then win back, we're going to bring all of the ones back who might have slipped through the cracks, right? So every one of these campaigns runs on the same idea. Ask the question, ask members what they need, or prospects, capture what they tell you, and then act on that, right? That's going to help you make membership meaningful, okay? Alrighty, folks, we are getting close to the top of the hour. If you have any questions, like I mentioned, drop them in the chat. Also, we had so much fun with this series. We are going to do another series in July. If you have any recommendations as to topics you want us to talk about, go ahead and drop those in the chat as well before you head out. Yeah, we want to be putting out information that's helpful for you. So share away. It's a quiet chat now. We got 2 minutes to go. Alrighty, folks. If there are no further questions, that's all I got for you today. Again, would love some feedback if you want specific topics covered next. What if membership depends on other factors such as requirements? Yeah, see, that would be Ben, yes, we'll be sharing a recording. What if our membership depends on other factors such as requirements? Can you talk me through what that means, Nessie? Like what requirements? Top of mind, like it's meaning they have to join. They are automatically a member because of, or they need to be a member for insurance purposes. I think at the end of the day, as you're filling that out, yeah, license in a profession to join. They need to have specific insurance to join. I mean, at that point, then for the lapsed member campaign, it's a matter of asking, like, again, what, why didn't you? It's finding out if that's why they didn't renew or reinstate or rejoin. If they no longer have that insurance, therefore they cannot be a member. And then the conversation becomes if X amount of members start leaving the association because they don't have this specific insurance, that might be a bigger conversation to have with the association as a whole, right? But if that's a requirement, then it would be worth knowing who isn't renewing because of that. Yeah. Sometimes the premium is more expensive than the membership fee. I would get that. Yeah. That does make sense. I think the key thing here is showing the value then too. So when you do have them, It's that much more important to show value based off of what they're looking for. So again, starting at the very beginning, what are they looking to get out of the membership? And are you giving them those things so that it doesn't feel like an expense to them? It feels like a need. That would be my 2 cents. I hope that helps. If not, happy to chat about this offline too, so I can ask you more questions. Stephanie, I'm interested in exploring more. Stephanie, do you use Prop Fuel? Yes, perfect. Okay, so let me check into who is your current client success manager. What group are you with? What association are you with? I love these webinar setups in Zoom because I want to ask you questions and like talk to people face to face. But I just oh, perfect. Stephanie, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna send Nick a note as well and just let him know that this is what you're looking for. I'm assuming that that's been communicated to him, but one more time doesn't hurt. And that way, going into the call, we have some ideas of what people are doing, what you guys can do. I would say also bring in, if you haven't already shared examples of what you've done in the past, go ahead and do that as well. I think having some background on that would be very helpful for the conversation of like, we tried these things, it didn't work. Here's where we're stuck. And then we can bring some examples for you. Alrighty, folks. We are past the hour mark, so we're going to go ahead and shut this thing down. But if, again, you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Hope to talk with you all soon. Thanks for joining. Bye, everyone.